I am sick and don't feel good, but very few things make me feel as good as when a Marvel TV show actually hits the mark. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 20,000 Films Under the Sea. I am your director tonight, Ernell Pearson, alongside two of my favorites. It is starting with my little Thai peanut. It's Xander.
Oh my gosh, hello. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm sick. I caught the nasty.
Yeah.
Finally, the suds finally got me. So I'm like, I've been
Man.
sneezing nonstop since I ate this morning. Like, I'm all like stuffed up, and my throat's not feeling too good. But I'm doing the best that I can. I'm doing the best that I possibly can.
Got
So
the
you
good
guys
old
might see me
sticky
pull out my
Minaj.
little napkin every here and there, and have to mute when I have to sniff and stuff. But we're doing the thing, man. How are you? How's your Friday?
I'm good. It's dude, Friday, honestly, great Friday. I racked up a couple of extra hours early on this week, so I was able to get off work at around like 12:45 today. So been kind of chilling.
So you had like a half day today?
However, I will say I'm a little upset at myself. Yesterday at the gym, um, dude, I told myself too because I wasn't feeling it at all yesterday. Like after work, I went to the gym, but I was like, I think I was like malnourished throughout the day or something like that, or something. I just wasn't really feeling quite all there. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go move my body a little bit, do a little something, keep it easy. And dude, I went there. I forget what it's called, but I had like two, like the 35-pound dumbbells right here, do a squat up and then shoulder press, squat,
sure.
shoulder. I did that. And then like on my third rep, fucking boom, boom. I felt a sharp pain in my lower back. And I was like,
Yeah,
we're done.
See that
We're
that
fucking
always
done.
that always happens during the days that you're like not quite as amped as you usually are, which is why you need
Yeah,
smelling
dude.
salts, man. You need smelling salts.
Dude, and
'Cause,
yeah, honestly, because it's like 'cause what it is like I wasn't feeling it, and I knew is like because what happens for anyone who maybe doesn't work out or anything, like I think what happens is I lost my form, right? Like I wasn't engaging my core the
yeah,
entire time or
that's
something like
what,
that,
yeah, for
and
sure.
then all of a sudden I slipped, and then my lower back just like sharp, like it
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
the same quickness as if you got like a static shock, it was just like, and then ever since then I've been just like walking
Well,
stiff.
the
So
mistake you made too was that you didn't lift completely with your back while making jerking twisting motions. That's the key to make sure that you don't get back injury. Actually, yeah, it's fun fact for you folks out there. You guys
totally,
can take that tip
totally.
and run with it. We also
Yeah.
have the queen of bitchin' herself. It is Genesee Gabrielle. Genesaw, how have you been? We haven't seen you in a while.
I've been good. I've been so busy. I was on Mount Hood last week,
Oh,
which
wow.
was
Okay.
gorgeous. Yeah, I spent the whole week
Genesee
on
in the
Mount Hood.
hood.
In the hood.
Genesaw in the hood, like the leprechaun, dude. It's crazy.
Which I can't think of a place that's less hood than Mount Hood.
That's fair. That is 100% fair. Yeah. Okay.
False advertisement.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's gorgeous. For those of you that don't know, Mount Hood is one of our volcanoes
Mm.
here in Oregon.
Yep. Very, very volcanic. Yeah.
A mountain. Yeah, it hasn't erupted in a very, very long time, but it could.
But
Neither
it
have I.
could.
But you
it
could.
might.
But mostly people just ski on it and hope that it doesn't explode under us. So
yeah, very wishful thinking on their part.
I mean, we're also like on fault lines that might shake at any time. So we're just living on the edge here in Oregon.
I mean, all of us have been for a while because they've been talking about that like impending like state ending earthquake for a really long time. And I've been like when's it coming? You know what I'm saying? Like at this point, like I need them to just stop teasing me and just get it over with so that we can just conjoin Washington, California, and Oregon into one like Western state. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Edging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Republic of California. Yeah. What we're looking
I
for.
don't really want to join with California because I left it for a reason, but
fair.
I
Also
do
fair.
love the idea of you being pounded by an earthquake. I love that for you.
I love getting pounded. Yeah. So it's a perfect scenario. Well, we're gonna be talking about getting pounded tonight because it's 20,000 films under the sea. Your choice for all the pounding and media news and reviews and discussions that you want each and every week.
I
if you
really
like
want
that,
pound cake now.
Yeah, you do.
Same.
Filthy boy.
You know what I'm saying? If you like that, you can head on over to our Discord channel where you can submit questions and topics to the show, get exclusive content, and have early access to episodes before they go live on podcasts and video services near you. But if you've emptied your pockets for the latest and greatest in entertainment, that is totally cool with us. You can watch us record this show live right here at twitch.tv/good Kraken show.
Yarg.
Xander, do you have DJ ready? Get DJ ready for me.
No, I don't. Actually, I don't.
If you have Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime. DJ, tell them.
Prime Gaming.
Oh wow, it's right in the corner, man. It's right in the corner. He's got hit the little
Prime Gaming.
There we go. And we would love for you to give that to us to help keep the lights on and cameras rolling. But you can also support us by going to our YouTube channel, hitting subscribe, or by leaving a review on our podcast channel by searching 20,000 Films Under the Sea. And we'll be right there waiting for you. Don't. Genesaw, you are your guest is flabbered right now. What's going on over there?
I didn't realize that I can see the sounds too.
You can, yeah. You can click things down there.
Yeah.
We only ask that you don't be that you don't abuse it the same way Devin does, and everything will be a-okay.
Yeah.
You can experiment.
Don't Devin, you're good.
I don't think anyone could abuse it like Devin does, but I found
that's true.
That's both a great thing and a bad thing. Genesaw, stop it.
That one wasn't me. My hands were up.
Xander, you did not find a way to add that in. Oh my God.
He told you he did.
I didn't realize that. That's what he meant. Jesus Christ.
Wow. Finally, Dennis is on her shit tonight. The one time that I know what the sounds are. I was listening to Xander.
Well,
wasn't.
We're going to be talking about that song here in a little bit. But until then, we have some director's commentary, guys. So firstly, our latest episode of Death Ratio is up. That is where me, Devin, and kind of Garrick got a chance to put in our official review of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 out there. So you guys can go over there and check that out if you're interested in listening to our thoughts before you spend $70 on a game that's been out about 15 times already. Or before you want to, make a download on Game Pass, if you're smart. Game Pass is the greatest deal in gaming after all. Also, we will not be uploading Splash Damage episodes to YouTube for a little while. We have some stuff that is slated for us here pretty soon going into the new year that we're very excited for you guys.
The year that is new.
But that is going to be effectively taking our Splash Damage slot on Wednesdays when we typically record our gameplay streams. So you guys can just hang tight. We'll be putting out some content here for you guys that you will not regret checking out. And in the meantime,
the name is Moonwind.
A little reminder for everybody: the last week of the year we typically take off. We will continue that tradition this year, where the last year, starting from the week of Christmas up to the first week of January, we will be gone until our usual calendar rotation has returned. We will let you guys know as we get a little bit closer to when that will be, so that you guys can expect us to not be rolling out content during that time window. So just to make sure that you guys at home are following along and staying.
Yeah,
nice
a good way to keep in touch with that is if you just join our Discord.
Just join our Discord.
Keep in touch with us there.
You guys can find
I'm sure we'll probably have some holiday watch-alongs or something like that. Or, do some holiday gaming.
You guys can find that link to our Discord in our YouTube description and podcast description. Unfortunately, if you're on YouTube, you're gonna have to copy and paste that bad boy, because I have ruined the podcast, which I don't know if you guys knew that, but unfortunately, we found out that YouTube felt that we were breaking some community guidelines, and so they now need verification. So we are not allowed to put clickable links in our description for our videos until that verification finishes. So I will be sending emails out to YouTube over the weekend. But until then, you guys can find those links all clickable in the fashion that you'd like on your podcast service of choice. But yeah.
Also,
yeah, sir. Mm-hmm.
Daddy Ernell,
Yes,
we do have one last director's commentary to mention.
We do,
because
sir.
I do believe we have something coming up. Especially since holiday season is right around the corner.
Yes, you guys can find the official Good Kraken tea bags over on where you can also push the B button.
Xander, that's really offensive.
You too can B button your friends with us here at Good Kraken. No, guys,
have merch.
Our merch store is officially finally around the corner. We're getting those last few details in. We got that.
Stop it. Stop.
You guys want a mug? You guys want a coffee mug? We have 20,000 films under the sea hats. They're going to be coming real soon.
We'll be filming our promotional material soon.
Well, one of them's already filmed. Xander did a knock-up job of that bad boy. You guys will be seeing that real soon. So, but yeah, we have a real good time coming around the corner for you guys. So if you guys are trying to treat your friends out to a little bit of a gift, you know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your grandmother.
Oh man, I love it.
Tell her I said hi.
It's gonna be a good time. You guys can find that over there. Anyways, Xander, tell the people what we're doing next, my good sir.
Oh, could it be to cut or not to cut? That is the final question.
Oh, it is the final question. Ching, ding, 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 ding. Because we are in the final cut. Our headlining segment, where tonight we are going to be giving you our spoiler-free review of Agatha All Along, baby. That's right. Set after the events of WandaVision, Agatha Harkness recruits some unlikely allies on her quest to regain her former powers and uncover the secrets of the Darkhold. Released on September 18th, 2024. That was the very first pilot episode there. Directed by three actual directors, Jack Schaefer, Rachel Goldberg, and Ganja Montero. Jack Schaefer had worked on WandaVision and Black Widow, while Rachel Goldberg is known for some work in Gen V, and Ganja Montero worked on Wednesday. We also had a plethora of writers that have worked on a just wild amount of different content between Jack Schaefer herself, Laura Donnie, Cameron Squires, Giovanna Sarkey, Laura Monti, Jason Rostovsky, Gia King, and Peter Cameron. Music was done by the power couple Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez that did work on the wonderful tunes of Frozen, Frozen 2, and the prior WandaVision. This show had a budget of less than $40 million, probably one of the lowest budgets in a Marvel television run so far. Don't do box offices for this because it's a TV show, but the episode runtimes ran from either 28 minutes all the way up to 42 minutes, depending on the episode. So Some fun facts for you guys, just a couple here, because there wasn't a whole lot to have to say unless you are a big old fat Marvel nerd like some of us are, but we'll be talking about that a little bit later. Exterior scenes of Westview were filmed on Blondie Street on Warner Brothers Ranch before the neighborhood was demolished. The set was previously used for WandaVision, and Agatha lives in the house used in the TV series Bewitched from 1964. Yep. Fucking cool. That's so cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
The character of Agatha Harkness was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby for the Fantastic Four, making her debut in issue 94, released in October 1969. She's an ally of Marvel's First Family and was the nanny to Reed Richards and Sue Storm's son, Franklin. Also, fun fact, this version of Agatha is very much inspired by one Ultimate Marvels run of characters where Agatha was actually much younger than she is in the usual Marvel comics. So just for you guys at home, in case you are not quite comic book dum-dums like we are. But in the meantime, we got lots to talk about here. So let's kick it off with Xander. My good sir, what were your thoughts of Agatha all along?
I actually want to start off by a couple of more fun little trivia stuff.
Oh,
so
sure.
yeah, we had the Ballad of the Witch's Road playing in the intro for this episode. So the Witch's Road is a very prevalent thing throughout the series. The Witch's Road, funnily enough, was actually a comic run. Let me just get back in 2016.
Okay.
From the Scarlet Witch comics, and there's a lot to be derived from that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But no, onto my top level thoughts. So with honestly, right from episode 1, I was hooked. Just like because it's such a breath of fresh air from the usual like Marvel Cinematic Universe fare, and it does a really good job of carving out its own unique identity while kind of bringing back that like the suspenseful like episode to episode mystery that worked so well in WandaVision. And that's what I need more of. I loved how WandaVision approached it. I love how I think that's a credit to Jack Schaefer and how she kind of led this whole storytelling. And I'm looking at the right. I'm pretty sure. I think Jack Schaefer has a background like with like Lost, and stuff like that. The writing for Lost, because there is a specific episode that I don't want to spoil anything, but there are some similarities to another prominent character in the Lost franchise. Right. But yeah, no, the pacing was just right for me. It was like every scene, every second felt crucial to the story. My only complaint was that when the end credits hit, I was just like kind of like yelling at the TV. I'm like, you can't end it there. I need more. Like, like
every week, every week,
every single. And even with the finale, like I'm again, no spoilers, but like even with the finale, I'm like, no, I want more. Like, give it to me now. But yeah, no, overall it felt so good. There were actually a lot of standout performances. First up, I want to talk about Patti LuPone as Lilia Calderu. She absolutely nails this role. Like she is.
God, she was so good.
She definitely brings the kooky and wispy to this character. I couldn't get enough of her like spontaneous and unpredictable moments throughout the series. And I love especially when you go back and dissect it all. I love how the writers were able to eventually bring meaning to her kooky and wispiness, and really flesh her character out. Like out of all the characters in this series, I feel like hers was the most well-rounded and like really came together in such a short amount of time too. Yeah. Which to me now, this kind of sets the bar for me where like I don't care if you have like one episode to show some character development. They did it with like arguably like probably one of the lesser cared about projects within the MCU. They did such a good job with a lot of the character development in such a little amount of time. Other writers need to take note that it can be done. You just need to do it right. And they did such a good job with these characters. Then Aubrey Plaza being the most Aubrey Plaza. Like she ever since I've seen her on screen from the very beginning, like she's always been a wild card, and she definitely is in this. The only gripe I have with it is we did not get enough of her. We needed more of her. I just God, I get it. And I really wish we had a spoiler section because I want to talk about some stuff. We could probably talk about it in Discord after the fact. But man, I feel like there's like some stuff left on the cutting room floor because I needed more of her. Catherine Hahn, man, what a journey from Step Brothers, because Step Brothers was like my first exposure to Catherine Hahn. But like, and even like shortly after, or for a while actually after Step Brothers, Catherine Hahn was primarily a supportive character in a lot of things. And I think not since like WandaVision, she hadn't really been like in the forefront or like a main character. And then after WandaVision, you know, she started getting more like bigger roles, and just to see her really showcase her chops this time around, oh my God, it was a delight to see. Like this, the depth of emotion and the ability to, you know, play this character that knows a little bit more than she's leading on, but disguising it as, you know, something else, but also being able to put up this front of like this, like, you know, like, oh, I don't give a shit, like I'm just whatever, but also at the same time, like deep down, like, oh fuck yeah, I got some baggage here. But like being able to play it off in such a, oh God, I want more of her. And I really hope we see more of her. I mean, hey, we got Fantastic Four coming out. Like, I just keep her as a variant, you know, keep her as a variant in the Fantastic Four universe, and just give me her as a babysitter to Franklin and Valeria Richards, you know. But yeah, regardless if it's in this mainline 616 universe or the variant Fantastic Four universe, I just need more Catherine Hahn Agatha. And lastly, Joe Locke. My God, his performance brought so much complexity and nuance to this character. And like the entire time, I remember I remember watching it, and like I know, as a comic book fan, I know what I think to expect, but then like I'm just like, oh, he's doing this in such a like crafty and creative way. I'm just like, ooh. And it's not so much a spoiler for like plot, but like his relationships in the series, like there are some heartwarming relationships, and I love it, like with the parents in particular. Like there's something about what is not said but shown by the parents and their dynamic that's just like, he's coming from a good household, like a supportive household, you know. And like all the relationships he's had in this, aside from the Coven, like it's just like he has like a really nice support system, which was really heartwarming to see. But yeah, every scene I saw him in, I just wanted to see where he would go next, and I'm like so excited to see more of him, hopefully in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Lastly, I do want to touch on sound design and cinematography. There's one particular transition, I won't spoil anything again, but they pull off this major moment just utilizing sound and camera work, no visual effects. And it's so refreshing to see when filmmakers and writers trust the audience to connect the dots in that way.
Yeah.
Like we don't need CGI to be like, ooh, that's what happened. No, it's just like slow pan in, heartbeat, boom. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Boo,
for
yeah.
trusting us. But no, overall, this series was an incredible ride from start to finish for me and for Jackie. We enjoyed it so much that we started making it like a Wednesday ritual. Like, all right, Wednesday night, we're watching it. Which again, also, I love that they are going back to the whole like we're not giving you the whole series in one go. You're going to get it week by week at a certain time. That's another thing that I like, because sometimes some series will do it on this day, but like at midnight, and so you could watch it at any point during the day. I still like oh no, it's at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So it's like we can schedule our day around it. We can like, oh, let's get our snacks.
Right.
I think I mentioned this last time. We would get our spooky snacks and witchy wants. And yeah, no, it was a fun time, and I am really excited to see more of these characters in the future. I hope they get the same treatment. But yeah, that's kind of like my overall top level thoughts on it.
All right, sir. Jenna, give us your big swing here. What do you think of Agatha all along?
I want to start out with, I'm just like so happy to hear your thoughts on it, Xander, because like when I was watching it as like a super fucking gay woman. And so who is like deep into the gay internet. Like I'm not on the surface. I'm deep. And so I was watching it and I was having the best time. I was like, I was just everything, like all of the jokes made sense to me. I was all the costumes. I was like, I was finally watching something that I felt like was made for me. Like, I mean, I've watched a few things like that, but like I was watching it and I was like, oh shit. Like I'm supposed to be watching this right now. Like they made this for me. And like at the same time that I was watching that, like because of that, it didn't feel like a Marvel show or movie to me, and to me that was a positive. Like because right now, like the Marvel, like I love Marvel, I'm not leaving Marvel, I'm not mad at Marvel, but it is heavy. Like all of the movies at this point are really heavy, and not just like an emotional content, but like you have to think about it. Like like when I go into a Marvel movie nowadays, I have to be like, what universe are we in? Like what day of the week is it?
Like
who is like I have to do homework to watch a movie, and like and like
did
when
you
I
watch
come out
X, Y, and Z before going into this?
Yeah, and then like there's still there are like moments in the movie theater where people are like gasping, and he's like, who's that? I'm like, I don't fucking know. We'll Google it after. I don't know. Like it doesn't happen a lot, but it happens. Like if it happens once, then you're kind of like, oh man, I missed something. Like I missed something in the lore. And there's just so much at this point that like my brain doesn't work that way. Like I'm gonna miss something. And I didn't feel that way with this. Like you didn't need a lot of lore. I mean, like honestly, I feel like you could have gone into this like not having watched WandaVision, and you could have gotten through. Like it would make more sense with WandaVision for sure, but like I don't think it was a prerequisite. I think
there's a decent amount of exposition.
Yeah. And it's also just kind of like they talk about Wanda like she's a kind of like kooky spooky aunt. Like she's that family member that no longer comes to Thanksgiving.
I will say they do a clever thing when referring to Wanda, in which it's a direct reference to the Wizard of Oz, where she is most positively dead.
Yeah. But yeah, so like this felt like a really like a breath of fresh air to me in like everything that the MCU has been doing. I was able to just come to it week to week with my wife, who has ADHD and has absolutely no idea what's going on when we watch Marvel movies. And we both had a great time and we looked forward to it each week. When I first heard about the show, the very first thing that caught my eye was the cast. This is just a phenomenal cast. And I was so excited to see each of them on my screen in like a witchy project. I felt like they were all so perfect for like a witchy, weird, kind of campy, like fun, odd kind of musical, but not musical. Like in a way that felt totally appropriate. It was amazing. It was a star-studded cast that was like each of them was very, very perfect for the role, for the vibe of the show, and for each other. They worked together really well. I love Joe Locke. I absolutely adored him in Heartstoppers. He and his counterpart in Heartstopper, like everything that they do nowadays, I'm like waiting for on the edge of my seat because they're both so talented. And I think there is a lot of young like talent in Hollywood that is really impressive, but there is something about gay Netflix right now. Like the gay stars from Netflix are fucking taking over. Jonathan Bailey is going to grace our screens this month as Fiero in Wicked, which is relevant to this show. I won't tell you why, but it is kind of.
A lot of references made.
Which
yeah.
is
So many references made. And I'm loving it. I love that they're taking new talent in ways that make sense for them. This role for Joe Locke was, I mean, he was perfect in it. The eyeliner, are you kidding me? Little witchy teenager, and it was so like it felt so accessible to me. Like that character like made so much sense. I was like, oh, whoever wrote this has spoken to a teenager recently. It was so real and so grounded, but also at the same time managed to stay elevated in script, in delivery, and costuming. It all felt like, oh yeah, those are things that I like or I see, but also I wouldn't, like it also like it belongs on the Witch's Road. It belongs in this weird set. It belongs on this thing. Aubrey Plaza, look, as I started out with, I am like super bisexual and like whatever cocaine they put into Aubrey Plaza's role, it was made for me. And not just that, but this role was made for Aubrey Plaza. I watched this and I was like, I feel like Aubrey Plaza is one of those actresses that you watch her in a few things and you understand who she is as an actress. Maybe not as a person, but you understand her as an actress. And I watched this role and was like, nothing. There is absolutely nothing in Aubrey Plaza's repertoire that compares to how perfect this role was for her. Like it was everything Aubrey Plaza. It was gay. It was witchy. It was dark. It was twisty. It was everything that Aubrey Plaza brings to a role. It like that dry sense of humor, that like, I mean, her stare, like everything about it. It was incredible. And she also brings this like weird, like sexual, but almost like comedic tension to just everything. Like even in Parks and Rec, it's like, why is she arousing me? This isn't an arousing situation. We're in a workplace. And also I think she might kill somebody, but I'm laughing. And
no, I totally get that because like especially when you bring up Parks and Rec, not to go off too far, but I do recall like there were moments where it was just like I'm generally like just physical appearance wise, like I didn't really find her conventionally attractive or anything like that, but like as she talks and stuff like that, it's like she pulls me in and she's like why do I get the feeling that like I'm like you're gonna slip my throat, but I'm gonna like it.
Yes,
there's a reason why people fell in love with her after that show. Like that was the biggest reason why she kind of blew up in popularity, because there was something about her that people were like, you got it. You like
there's something in her. Like
one of my favorite things was on Twitter. Someone just said like "fuck Agatha," and then there's a retweet or a repost of it with a picture of Aubrey Plaza from this show, and like listen, she's trying. Give her time.
She's trying. literally. And I want to get into more of that, but is it a spoiler? Do you think?
Probably, yeah, because it's a big deal for the Marvel nerds, yeah.
Yeah. What I will say is that, and I think Joe Law is a great Joe Locke is a great example of this.
Jude Law.
Jude Law. What? He was there? Yeah, he was the tree. But also like the general. It brought me back to the days of like Charmed and like Buffy the Vampire Slayer almost, of like they were very like they had very heavy undertones of gay, but this show was allowed to be that a bit more upfront. They were allowed to not hide it. I love that Marvel's allowed to be gay now. I love that Marvel's allowed to be gay
Fuck
now.
yeah.
It's amazing. Joe Locke's room, Teen's room, I was looking at it and I was like, whoever was in charge of that set, because that set must have took hours. Like, I mean, you could do a one of those little find it like scavenger hunt games just with Teen's room, because it was like it was immaculate. And but it also to me didn't feel overbearing. Like it felt like if you exist in like a space today that isn't totally hampered by conservatives, you're going to be around gay people, you're going to be around gay culture, you're going to see rainbow flags, you're going to see all of these things, and it felt very real to me.
Living in a heavily conservative area, I was like, oh, thank God, finally.
Yeah, finally, we get a rainbow flag, we get a trans flag.
Let's
amazing. It was awesome. And on that, like the sets were 1,000 out of 10. Like I was so excited. Marvel can do great CGI, and they had some CGI in this for sure. I mean, you have witchcraft, you need some CGI. But they also, and I feel like where this show really succeeded in its sets was they went old school. There were times when you could like I can't say because it was a spoiler, but they did a thing that you could tell what kind of set they were using, and I screeched. I was like so excited, and it was so fun, and it was like the character that they had doing it was so perfect. Like their sets matched their characters matched their sets, matched their costuming, matched their dialogue. Everything went together so well. It was incredible. And like, yeah, you could just tell that they were walking on a set of trees and leaves the whole time. And like, they were actual sets. They were not CGI. They were real. And I think that really adds a lot to it. And I also think that's what Marvel fans like the most about Marvel stuff is when they make it real. We want superheroes to be real. We want like the good guys to be real. We want good to win over evil. And like when we're able to see actors doing stunts, we think it's super fucking cool. Like when we're able to see these sets be brought to life as much as possible, that's super fucking cool. Like that our world can make something that's also magic. And I think that's where this really, like the stuff in this show that is not real is so little in a show that is so magical and like out of this world. And like when you really look at it, the stuff that makes it magical and out of this world is stuff that we could, even if they took all of the special effects away, even if they took it all away, most of it was the actors, their costumes, and their voices. And this camera angles, like you were talking about, Xandra, like they used that stuff to the max. It was really impeccable. Like cinematography and choreography, all of it. And then like other than that, like I was so impressed with the storyline of how many layers it had. Like what you were talking, Xander, about the character building, it wasn't just character building, it was story building. Like I feel like I haven't watched a Marvel thing in a while that did this level of, I mean, I loved Miss Marvel. I loved a lot of the stuff they've been making recently, but I feel like WandaVision was the last thing that they made that had that like, oh, factor, you know, like it had that, like almost that who done it or why done it. Like it had that, like you said, Xander, like every single episode, I was like, what's happening? Like how did they get there?
Giving the viewer incentive to want to sit down in front of the TV at that specific time, you know?
Yeah. Looking forward to next Wednesday when it comes out. And like, and like thinking about it after you leave, like Naomi and I were talking about it each week. We were like, oh, who do you think is that? Why do you think that happened? Like, and then by the time that you get to the reveal, it's even more than you thought it was. Like, I called the ending and I still was like, oh my God. Like, I called it and I had to go back and like rewatch parts of it because I was like, it was literally there the whole time. One could say it was Agatha all along.
Was it?
It was Agatha all along.
So
amazing. I loved it.
Let me start by saying that for whatever reason, they just went and decided to make every single person in this show hot. Don't know why. Don't know why.
Literally.
Like, even like this is the most attracted to Catherine Hahn I've ever been in my entire life. She was incredible in this show. Everybody was just everybody was stunning in this show. I was very, very happy about it. But with that said, I thought that this show was just so incredibly made. It is clever. It has so much cool stuff just packed in each and every single episode. And they do different cool things in each episode, which I very much appreciated because it felt like every episode kind of had its own reason to exist. And this own like sort of piece of the puzzle overall that we obviously get at the end of the, you know, the season, if you will. I think this is going to be a standalone thing, but as we see like all the pieces kind of come together and unfold, like you can see how each episode they really kind of dedicated towards one specific thing and one specific theme and one specific story that was helping build the pieces towards the bigger story that they were trying to put together. And I mean, that's just what makes great TV. When they find creative ways to make each episode just this own individual experience. And they did it down to the music, the sound design, the camera work, like the way the characters acted, like everything around how they built and put this show together was just out fucking standing, man. I mean, even from the drop of like the first episode, how Xander talks about how like it's really cool to kind of like how they utilize that as this way for us to bridge coming off of WandaVision and say, hey, we're gonna get over here, but we gotta relate you a little bit before we get there, right? Like you need a little bit of a kick up and reminder of like what's going on and why Agatha is even here. So let's give you this little thing here. And the second that he's like, these are flowers, I was like, oh fuck. Like because we knew that like obviously something was weird because it had that same sort of like weird uncomfort to it the way that WandaVision did. We're like, we knew that this wasn't happening, but like, do we? So like how much of it is actually happening, right? And so that big reveal was one of many, many reveals that we got during this show that were all so just well thought out and just smart and clever. And like the Patty LuPone's episode, the tarot episode, is just one of the most genius fucking pieces of television ever. Because I went back and I rewatched this show because I was like, that one episode convinced me to go back because I was like, I need to know if that was all legit. There's no fucking way, right? There's no way that they pieced it together that well. I went back and every single moment she said one of those things, I was like, what the fuck did they scripted that, bro? Like, I can't fucking believe how big brain this show was without even like really being like all that big brain. It was just so like they just knew what they wanted to do and they seemingly reverse engineered everything to get to that point that they knew that they wanted to get to. And they were just like, how can we get this all scrambled across the table to make this really, really cool fucking puzzle that like we're going to put together with the audience at the same time, right? And every single episode was like that, because every single episode had just such a like genius idea to it, whether it was like the usage of the song or like the usage of the characters and their background story. Like we have like 2 main characters in this, technically 3, but that would be a spoiler. We have 2 characters in this that are like actually kind of like bigger characters in the comics, between like Jennifer Kale, who is Ghost Rider's cousin in the comics, and Alice Wu. Yeah, Gulliver. Yeah. They kind of briefly talk about her dad's a cop in the comics, but her mom was a witch and she gets inherited those abilities, and that becomes an entire thing in the comics. There's like an entire like run with Scarlet Witch that she does in the comics. And that generational curse was actually loosely pulled from those comics too. Right. And they did a really, really good job of sort of like making those characters all feel important in their own kind of way. And that was like, I feel like the biggest fuel for that cleverness for them to have was like, how do we make these characters not throwaway characters? How do we make them all important, and all important in ways that like still bolster the story and still make them likable characters? I think like realistically speaking, like the only character I think was like kind of throwaway in the show at all was Mrs. Hart.
Mrs. Hart.
And that's like
Mrs. Davis.
My bad. Oh,
Sheila?
Sorry. Yeah, Sheila. Yeah, Sheila.
Sharon.
Sharon.
Is it really Sharon?
Sharon. It might have been Sharon.
I mean, to be fair, they're kind of the same name.
They're pretty much the same name. You know what I'm saying?
No, Sheila's from Down Under.
Oh, okay.
No, I knew a Sheila. That bitch was American.
She was obviously the comedic relief that we needed for the first half of this show. But when they needed things to start getting a little bit more serious, they were okay with kind of separating us from that while still kind of leading us be still a little silly here and there. And they utilized that in such a way that felt really good too. But to kind of double down on what Genesaw is saying, because Genesee and I have talked at length about Disney's seeming inability to just be unabashedly gay in their content. Because they've been such pussies about it. Jesus Christ. They'll like dip their toes in and say, okay, that's enough.
They're being gay while saying no gay, no homo.
No, okay.
No homo.
Hey.
No homo.
We'll
They're
give
like
you just
Gaston is gay or whatever. Not him, but his bestie
like
is gay, but no homo.
They think that we're like over here, like, please, just a crumb of gay. Just a crumb of. They're like, okay, here's your crumb. Here's your crumb of homo there.
Yeah. And it's like they've never met a homosexual because we will fucking slap them across the face for their crumbs.
Well, and time again, you and I have talked about how like it's been not necessarily disappointing because it's like we appreciate the representation to an extent, but it also insults our intelligence. And it's like, come on, like you really think that we're going to be like happy with what you've given us? And then finally this show happens. And within 2 episodes, I was like, oh my fucking God, thank you for finally just doing it. Just fucking do it, dude. And they did it well in ways that like felt grounded in reality. Like, because as you guys mentioned, Joe Locke's teen as a character feels so legitimate. Like he actually feels like a teenage gay character that is just over his head. and like they make that feel so perfect in trying to make it realistic and believable. Yes, Sander.
While we're on the topic, remind me again how you felt about the representation in Eternals.
Eternals was fine, but it was a really good example of them kind of just being 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because like they go there, but they don't go there. You know, they don't say this is a relationship and this is what being gay is like. They just say they're gay, and they gave us one thing about it. And when they kind of dog walk us with queerness in content, it feels insulting because it's sort of like, in a way, them saying like, hey, we hope this is gay enough for you, when that's not what we're asking for. We're just saying, like, if you're gonna do gay, make it feel like it's actually gay and not just you pandering.
Make it feel natural.
Yeah, like, because like, just make it feel like gay people are actually like real people, not like characters in a fucking movie. You know what I mean? Genocide.
Yeah.
I think what it is, and we've talked about this at length too, on and off stream, is it's when you're like, when Ernell and I are saying like, oh, they made gay people, or they're actually like representation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what we've talked about a lot, we talked about it when we talked about Miss Marvel, you guys talked about it in Shang-Chi, is we're actually talking about culture.
Yeah.
We're actually talking about them understanding like what that culture is, and like relationships, because that's what our identities are about. They're not about the label. They're not about, oh, I kiss my wife. They're not about the gay couple in Eternals was adorable because they were cute and they had a child, and oh, we love that.
Right.
But like, they didn't have, it wasn't just them. I felt in Eternals the characters didn't have a lot of depth. Even the straight main couple, like they didn't.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of time, and there were a lot of characters. And so, and it also was hard because I didn't understand their culture. Like I didn't like they're aliens. They're from a different planet, and I didn't understand that. I understood more about the planet from Captain Marvel's latest movie where they sing. Their language is singing. I understood more about their culture than I do understand about where the Eternals came from.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I think that's what it's about.
I mean, after one quick explanation, I think we all understand how they operate.
No, I think Genocide actually uses a very great example there of our conversations around Shang-Chi, right? Because like, imagine if they did Shang-Chi and they casted Simu Liu for that role, and then they just made him a guy from Detroit. Like imagine that. Imagine what that would feel. That's what they have done systematically over and over and over again. Like, oh, like, hey, he's Asian. He's Asian. We hope that's good enough for you, dude. We're doing it. We're doing the representation thing. And then we're like, are you though? Because like, just because you have a dude who is Asian and you gave him ramen for a scene.
Yeah, no, I think I'm getting it because like I do want to point out, I don't think I've ever actually like announced this or anything like that on stream, but as a straight man coming into this,
Thank you for coming
I think I'm starting to understand it a little bit better because like watching
thank you for your service.
The reason I bring up Eternals is because with the relationship that was shown in Eternals, it felt a little disjointed. It felt a little out of place. It felt like purposefully put in there.
Exactly.
Oh, of course.
Whereas with this, with Joe Locke's relationship, and it shows like it's just existing. It's there, and it's so heartwarming to see, and it not to mention like what a supportive boyfriend he has.
Oh
like,
my god, it was so good, dude. It was so good.
Oh my god!
But that's
after all is said and done, it's like, honey, I am here for you. I was just like, oh god, I fucking love this.
But you see
love this.
That's exactly it. Is that they did a beautiful job of not making it a thing. They just said, hey, he's gay. And he is in love with this boy, and that means something in terms of him having a support system in him moving to this next step. It wasn't a like, oh, he's gay, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't a character trait. It was just part of his character, and they use that beautifully too, not just with Joe Locke, but with Rio and Agatha. Right. And so like when we see, and I guess that's not really.
Listen, honey, you want a straight answer? Ask a straight woman.
That's a straight lady.
One of the best fucking lines ever, dude. Oh my god, that was so good. They did it.
What was it? Queer ent.
Yeah.
My favorite was you used his full name.
They did a
teenager.
They did a very, very good job of that in terms of Agatha and Rio as well. And it just kind of felt like that, like this time around, they actually like were okay with just like doing. Like the writing in regards to that and that alone was enough for me to kind of just appreciate the show even more, on top of everything else that they did very, very well. Also, so Genesa.
Something I'll say on that I think that Marvel did well with this, and I don't know if I just missed it, but something that Disney and Marvel have done in all of their previous gay characters, I shouldn't use air quotes, they're gay, but like they did this with the Beauty and the Beast movie. Which character was gay? It wasn't Gaston, it was his bestie.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't in the original cartoons. It was
it was in the live action remake. Gaston's best friend is gay.
Josh Gad's character,
the only reason, Josh Gad's character was gay. And the only reason we knew he was gay was because Disney like made a press release about it. Like they like made it a whole thing before the movie came out. They were like, he's gay.
I remember that.
And yeah, it was really fucking weird because you watch the movie and it's like, what's gay about him?
Like they weirdly pulled.
It puts a weird aura on it going into it. Like oh, we have to make an announcement.
Well, they pulled the same thing that J.K. Rowling pulled time and time again of like, oh, by the way, Dumbledore was blah blah blah, or oh yeah, Hagrid was blah blah blah. Like fucking years later, fuck turfs. But it's just so fucking stupid when like any content person does that with their characters and their world and their universe. It's just so it just seems so lazy.
Just make them gay. You know,
like gay. It's like don't headcanon
especially because people and gay people have been making people and characters gay for eons. Like literally, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Jesus Christ,
amazing example. You know, but they did that also with Eternals. It was in their, I don't know if it was like in their official stuff, but like the articles that were being written about the movie that come from Marvel said, oh, and it will have Marvel's first gay.
They were making a point of it. Yeah.
They were making a point of it. In this, I didn't see anything that was like an official Marvel.
Nothing.
You know how I found out that his character was gay? I watched the trailer, like God intended, and he did that gasp, and he was Joe Locke wearing eyeliner, and I was like, oh, this kid's gay.
Oh, he's totally gay, right?
Oh, you know,
he's totally gay.
I need to send you some comic books.
And then, I know, but like, I could not watch the comic books, and I could just watch the show and know he's gay.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. That's how well done it was because, like, they just all of them.
They called him Sparkle Boy, and he was gay.
all of the characters of this just had such good like chemistry with each other that it was really easy to kind of just get a good idea of like who and what their character was by just seeing them interact with the other characters. Hold on real quick. I'll come back to you. Give me a second. That it like not just with Teen, but with everybody simultaneously, because now we have this show that gave us this sort of like camaraderie, this Fast and the Furious type deal where they're like, let's get the gang together. You know what I'm saying? And listen, Genesa, if there's anything I'm weak for, it's a movie or show that says let's get the gang. You know what I'm saying? I got such a soft spot for a movie that says go get the boys, and then we get a whole montage of like, that's the specialist, that's our hacker, right? And it shows a cool scene of them hacking like a computer or whatever, and then we got the two guys behind them. That's kind of like, Joseph, we've been looking for you for 20 years, and he's like, get the fuck out of here, the thing's gonna blow. And then like, you know, some stupid shit like that. They gave us that for an episode, dude, and I was like, fucking sign me up, bro. Like, how did they say we need a divinity witch, a potions witch, a protection witch, a green witch, and then they gave us a montage of them collecting all of them? Are you fucking kidding me? This show's goddamn genius, dude. Xander.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say to your point with the camaraderie of the actresses and stuff like that. Like I actually found out that a lot of these actors they come from an improv background. That I think that plays heavily into this, and which I mean, shout out to the casting director for, you know, picking some wonderful actors to play these roles. And then there's like one scene in particular that sticks out to me where it's not a spoiler or anything really. It's not really plot divisive, but Jennifer and Agatha are arguing over the specific lyrics of the ballad of the
Yeah, yeah.
and I can't help but feel that God, I can't. I think it's Sashir Zamata, who plays Jennifer Kale. She's like, no, why would they ever say that? Because it just felt so everything felt so natural.
They all just felt like felt like real people. They didn't just feel like characters in a fucking show. Like they've actually felt real, and like they had personality, and like they were all individual people. Like they were just, it was so fucking good. Last couple of things, because I'm getting a little bit long in the tooth here.
Let's go halvesies on a jade egg.
The tarot episode was incredible, but to be honest with you, that final episode was just way more heart-wrenching than I was prepared for, because I knew they were going to go there, right? It wasn't hard to kind of guesstimate, like, hey, this is where they're wrapping things up, we're nowhere now, because everybody else got their individual episode, right? So now it is the turn of the one. And so having an opportunity to kind of look back into the background story of like where all this was kind of playing it out and why things are going the way they were going was superb. Like, Marvel is at its finest when it finds ways to make us care about characters that we normally would not give a shit about. Because, like, that's how they did it with the original Avengers. Because, like, nobody gave a fuck about Iron Man when he first... Like, that was not a character anyone gave a shit about from the comics. Captain America, obviously everyone loved him. But we loved him more after the first movie. You know, like, when they brought him to life. Like, there's so many characters that Marvel has found ways to make us feel invested into emotionally. Right? Like, not just like, oh, like it's a character or like they're cool, right? Because that's like, you know, the power fantasy of all things. It's cool. Yeah, cool. That's awesome. But when they make us actually like feel emotionally attached to wanting to see that character win, I feel is when Marvel is like at its best. And the final like half of this season was effectively that. They made us care about these characters in the first half, and then it paid off in the second half by letting us experience tragedy with each of these characters in our own individual ways, right? Because it's not like, you know, we're feeling tragedy just because of things that happen in the show, but we're feeling tragedy because like these characters just genuinely have tragic stories, right? Like when we find out the whole big twist with Agatha and Jen at the end of the road, right? When we find out that big twist, and we're like, oh fuck.
That was an ayo, what the fuck?
That was fucking heart crushing, dude. And they did, goddamn, dude. Like everything about this show was just so made for seemingly they said like, dude, we're going to give you something that like you weren't prepared for, because none of us asked for this. None of us wanted this show. Like when like we were like, okay, cool, Agatha, right? Like she was goofy in like WandaVision or whatever. Cool. Like we're getting a show, all the way down to what the fuck? Why would I ever want this? Right. Like, and it was kind of within that spectrum there, but never ever would I
prior.
Yeah.
Brad Windebaum was on like the Marvel official podcast or something like that, or like an interview prior to this, and the way he kind of responded to what Agatha all along was all about, it kind of like, looking into it, like trying to dissect it, like almost felt like he was kind of like, it was like, okay, it might be like as a fan. Because he was being very vague about it, so it was just like, oh, maybe he doesn't have a whole lot of faith in this. I don't know.
Yeah,
but he was being vague because he didn't want us to fucking
They knew, dude. They fucking knew we weren't ready, dude. Like, because I would have put money down that this show was just gonna be another fucking fat stinker about some character we don't really give a shit about. Like, I would have put money down on that. And going into the first episode, I was like, oh fuck,
this is
right.
different.
And then by the time the second episode finished, I was like, fuck, man, I'm in, dude. And like I was like I remember audibly saying out loud, fuck, Xander was right, because Xander was like halfway through the season by the time that I like started the first episode. And so I was kind of like, all right, fine. So I fired it up. I'm at work and I'm like, oh, I want to watch that second episode now, dude. And like, I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll just play it in the background, right? And I turned it on and I was like, oh, this is so good, dude. This is so good. I think Jenna froze.
Oh no, she did.
She did. She'll be back in a second though. That's okay.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, my final thought here, I don't think that this show is without its grievances. Like, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect show. Oh wow, yeah. Now you're kind of being pixely too. That's okay.
You're pixelated on my end.
Our Discord is being weird. Okay, that's fine. We're podcast first. It's okay.
Yeah.
The show's not perfect. It does have some things that are like some choices that they made that I was like, okay, like maybe they could have handled that a little bit better. I mean,
that's why I say there's a lot of. I feel like, especially if you go back and rewatch a lot of stuff, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's left on the cutting room floor. And I think that maybe there's something to come about in the future of some of these characters.
And that's why I kind of put a bit of a question mark on it. I don't know if it got left on the cutting room floor as much as it was intentionally left out, because they're
we lost Disney.
Yeah, she's gone here. I'll 2cam it. There we go. I don't know if it's so much that as much as it is they just had some things that they didn't want to quite do yet. You know what I mean? Because I mean, like, let's be real. There's a lot that they will be doing with Rio. A lot that they could potentially do with Rio. I mean,
if
like,
you go back to the synopsis that you read at the beginning of before our top level thoughts, there the latter half of that synopsis is a little misleading.
It is, because they only mentioned the Darkhold twice. This entire show, really, it has actually very little to do with the Darkhold, to be honest. And even then, like, we can, you and I, we understand the implications of what that means, in terms of in terms of the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. But generally speaking, though, they handle that in ways. I don't necessarily think that they like left a bunch of stuff out because they had to trim. I just think that they left stuff out because they needed to kind of like leave some to be desired. My issues mostly are kind of with the little things that I feel like they had kind of just decided that they didn't need to really commit too much time to. Because they were doing so well with everything else. So, for example, I fucking hate that they did so much with the song. Like, I kind of wish that they would have did the song and then
I get.
Well, okay, hold on, because hear me out.
I'll let you get your thoughts.
Because I'm cool with that. They did it in the beginning, right? Cool. And that they kind of make it a thing like at the end, and then like the relevance with Agatha and her backstory, right? Cool. I'm cool with that. But they also use it 3 other ways. So we're getting the song 6 ways in this show. It's repurposed 5 different times after its original usage. And I was like, because for example, right, the whole the music episode, Atlas's episode, if you will, they could have done something so different there. And I get what they were trying to do. I get that they were like, okay, well, Alice's mom and like what that means here, but like there are so many other options that could have still made sense that wouldn't have made me feel so exhausted by this song by the end of this show. You know what I mean? And you guys might not agree with me, but I was pretty fucking tired of the song by the end of the show. Xander.
Yeah, I don't agree with you at all.
Okay, sure. That's fair. That's fair, man.
That out there first. I fucking love the song. In fact, I've had it on repeat since we started this episode. Specifically, the Sacred Chant version. That's my favorite.
See what I mean? That's the fourth of the six.
No, the Sacred Chant version is the original one from episode 3.
2, 3. Yeah, one of those two.
Is it 2, 3?
I think
whichever one.
That the one
it
that
has
had
to be
the
3.
phone
It
in
has to be 3. Yeah. Because first one's set up for Agatha. Second one is Joe's episode. Third one is getting the gang together, if I remember correctly.
Second one is
No. They get the gang together in episode 2.
I'll find out. Continue though.
Anyway, no. So I, if you think about it in this way, I think this might help a little bit. But the reason the song plays so much prevalence is I feel like to give so much more weight to the reveal, to the creation of the song.
Mm-hmm.
I think because they, in your opinion, overplayed the song throughout the series, when that reveal happens, it's like, oh shit.
You almost stopped thinking about the song because you heard it so much.
Yeah, and then like that's because like when that reveal happened, I was just like, I literally looked over at Jackie. I'm like, oh, well, if that's what.
If it helps any, I also in looking for you were right. It was episode 2, but in looking at the episodes, just realized those are lyrics from the song. So it's actually repurposed 6 times to make 7 total utilizations for the song in the show.
Right. But then also to your point, the music episode, there is another layer to that where that version, that version, I call it the Fleetwood Mac version. That one
yeah.
That one serves its own purpose as well. In a way,
I know, but it could have been something else, though. You know what I mean?
In my brain, there are 3 versions. One is the initial version, the Sacred Chant version that I'm listening to right now. There's the Fleetwood Mac version, and then there's the OG final created version. Final first, technically.
Right.
If you know, you know. Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a banger song. Like they really spat bars with that song. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I just felt a little exhausted.
When those harmonies overlap at the end of the Sacred Chant version, I'm just like fucking.
That shit hits. Yeah. Those harmonies hit, dog. I'll tell you what. Anyways, I think that I've laid it down plenty enough here. Xander, should people watch the show right away? And what is your score?
Listen, it is November 1st at the time of this recording and this live stream. Listen, if you have not watched this, you are past the point of no return. But fuck it. Spooky season stays open 24/7. Go fucking watch it right the fuck now.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Get your spooky snacks and witchy wants and sit down in front of the TV and binge watch this because it is such an enjoyable ride. This is going to be definitely one of my yearly watches during the spooky season. I'm going to go back to this. In fact, I'm probably going to rewatch it at work next week. My God, it's just so fun. It's so fun. It's a breath of fresh air when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because it doesn't feel like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the Marvel aspect of it feels like an afterthought, which is honestly kind of what we need right now. Deadpool said it best. Like Marvel's kind of in a bad spot right now, so come on, it's so good. And the only reason I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 is because of a few things. There is one reveal that I felt was it was fun, but at the same time, like
it meant very little. Yeah.
That
I want to know what you're talking about because I'm just so curious.
We'll
poke at it after. Yeah, I'm feeling the same way he is too. So
yeah, let's just say I'm not going to that family reunion. But that the CGI in some spots. This is a spooky season show. There are some ghosts and ghouls and apparitions and stuff like that, and there's a couple of which that seemed a little. The lighting was off for me. I'll put it put shortly there.
It felt more hocus
so that was
pocus sometimes than it did drag me to hell, you know?
given how much was done analog, quote unquote, for this series, I feel like they could have potentially put a little bit more of the budget into CGI or cleaning up some of the stuff.
Sure.
So it was a little distracting to me. And then, like I've mentioned before, I do feel like there were certain aspects of the story that were left to the cutting room floor for potentially revisiting later on. Like we mentioned with the Darkhold, I feel like if you're going to mention that in the official synopsis for a show, maybe spend a little bit more time on it.
Did they?
Maybe
You think,
give us some more answers, because in regards to that, I have more questions than answers at this point.
I was so glad it wasn't there. So glad. That in the
Yeah,
multiverse.
actually, I will say
I was
this,
like,
I
leave it
am
at the
glad-
fucking door.
We got plenty of
I will
Darkhold in
say
another
this,
show.
given the way that this story played out, I am actually glad that they didn't. But don't sit there.
They probably
and put
shouldn't
it
have
in the synopsis.
mentioned it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing. Go
so, but that being said, I'm gonna give this a very strong 8.5.
All right. I like that. Good rating. Genesaw, should people watch this right away? And what is your rating?
Yes, I think you should watch it right away. For me, I felt like this really. I was born and raised on like 90s witchy shows, and this brought it back for me. Like I love Xander, and I talk about it all the time. Like I love the Teen Wolf and the Vampire Diaries and all that shit, but like nothing comes close to like Charmed and all of that good stuff. Like that was my fucking bread and butter.
I see Charmed
And
all the
this-
time at Planet Fitness when I'm running on the treadmill.
Of course.
And I feel like this showed like scratched that same part in my brain. And for that reason, I didn't mind the CGI. Because like I grew up on like the shittiest CGI that's ever happened. And I was like, yeah, that's a ghost. Oh, it looks like you had a body swap. You know, another body swap episode. Oh my god!
Like when explosions were like an explosion, and there was like a dummy that was like like coming out of it. You know what I'm saying?
or my favorite, the Power Rangers.
Whoa! Yeah,
I just threw my back out again.
Yeah, so like for me, like I felt like this was a really good mix of like, because it was intentionally campy. And so for me, when there were parts that were a little bit less refined, to me that added to the aesthetic. Like to me that added to the story, and it added to what they were trying to do, I felt. So that really just added to it for me. It didn't feel to me like Moon Knight. Like Moon Knight, I was so excited for that show, and I was watching it and I was like, oh, that's bad. Like the water, there were just so many things in that show that I was like, oh, you shouldn't have done. You just don't do it. Like I didn't want to look at it. I was like the bus. I know.
It was a bummer because sometimes the CG in that actually was really, really good, and then it was really, really not.
And sometimes it really
my biggest gripe with Moon Knight was just like the end. Like you have Moon Knight, and then you want to end it with a kaiju fight.
I don't know why the fuck they did that. Anyway, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
Which you guys can catch on youtube.com/Kraken show.
But like this didn't have that for me. Like yeah, I think that if you're super into cinematography, if that's your jam, you might get more into that and like be like, but it didn't. I felt like it was all rather intentional to me. I didn't feel like it was because of a lack of effort or a lack of budget. I felt like they were like, that's not where we need to spend our energy. We need to spend our energy on the trees. And the trees fucking slapped.
True. Yeah, true.
Like the sets in the show were a fucking main character. And I feel like if the sets had not been as good, I would care more about the CGI, but the sets were so like 1,000 out of 10 that it didn't matter to me. And everything about the show to me was 10 out of 10. Everything felt intentional. Everything felt thought through. Like from the people who planned it to the people executing it. Like I got to the end and I was like the woman who plays Agatha, I was like, Catherine Hahn, there was just no way that she didn't know everything from the beginning, because the way that she played Agatha in this, I was like, that is like, it was a masterclass. This whole show to me felt like a masterclass on what television, which shows can be, and what they have been and what they have not been in a very long time. And I gotta say, I didn't see that coming from Marvel. I thought I was going to enjoy it. I thought I was going to have a great time, but I did not think that this was going to be like a rebirth of witchy shows for me. And that's what it ended up being. I was like, damn, this is like, I want to learn more about their witchcraft. I want to learn more about about teens like analog magic. I want to know what internet forums he was on. Like, I want to know. I want
to learn tarot.
I want to learn, dude. Talk to me later. I've got some decks. But like literally, no, it like made me. I wanted to get a wicker broom. After this, I was like, I haven't started salting my corners of my house, but maybe I should. We're about to move. I'm just gonna go full in. And if you don't know what any of those things mean, they are witchcraft. But this show like made me literally want to pull out my witchcraft. I was like, it's been a minute. I should do it. I
pull out my witchcraft every 30 minutes, man. See how much water I drink?
I would say for me it was 10. It was 10 out of 10. It was a 10 out of 10. I've actually recommended it to a few people who I know don't watch Marvel. I don't think you have to be a Marvel fan for this one. I feel like I've said that on a few ones recently, and I think that that's a big win for Marvel, that they've had a few pieces where like I think it's accessible for a lot of folks. Like I said at the beginning, I don't know how a big portion of Marvel fans are going to react to this, because I do think that there is a very large portion of Marvel fans who are gay, and we're going to love that. But I also know there's a big portion of Marvel fans who are kind of dude bro-ish, and I just don't know if they're going to get the jokes. I literally don't know. I was watching it, and I was like, I got it, so I don't know if other people do, but I just didn't know. So that would be the thing for me. Like if you have any time in the last few years been like, oh, that was too gay. Oh, they talk about gay stuff too much. Don't watch it. It's not for you. It's not for you. And that's what I'll say about that.
And they don't even really talk about gay shit all that much. It's just like, it's just more than what some frat boys fucking used to.
Gay coded.
Well, and I don't know. I see, because for me, it was pure gay. Like it was pure, like gay people. Like that's what I do. That's my life. That's my people. Like,
and sorry, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it wasn't gay. I'm just saying that they don't talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's what
we could translate it because we get it, but it's just not on the forefront of the commentary of the show. But when it is, I can see some guy being like, hey yo, like, no homo, bro, no homo. Like,
and like I think that's, like I said, it was. I don't think that people who aren't gay aren't gonna like it, but like for me, it just felt so like clear, and maybe that's just because I'm in it and I'm gay, and like it just like to me it was like, I don't know, it was cool because like I've mentioned Charmed a lot and like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but we grew up with things that were queer coded, but they weren't queer, you know? And like this was different because it was actually queer. It was actually made for gay people. And it was like made in a way where I was like, oh yeah, these are like literal conversations. Like their dialogue was like conversations that happen around me all the time, that I see on the internet all the time. And so like that for me, I was like, I don't know if that'll be a barrier for other people. It was a big plus for me, but I was watching it and it was, I don't know, it was like a weird thing where I was like, wow, this feels so much like it was made for me. I worry that it might be excluding someone else, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
It's a weird thing. But I loved it. I thought it was really wonderful. And I'm actually really heartened, like hearing you guys talk about it, because I guess like my worries maybe shouldn't be worries. It sounds like you guys I love that Xander like had just the best time and that you loved it.
Oh, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I had a fantastic time, and it was very like, it was just fun, but it was also weird, and it was also creepy, and it was also like made you guess and made you think, and like it was everything that I think TV should be. And so 10 out of 10, you should watch it right away. 10 out of 10.
Sure. Yeah, I think that there is something here for every type of Marvel fan. Whether you are very, very light on Marvel, you can still watch this and enjoy it. I think that if you're a diehard Marvel person, I think that you'll definitely enjoy this. If you're not that guy, which we know we aren't. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Anyways,
the one guy that didn't like X-Men.
We're judging you, Rick. I don't know. It's like, yeah. Some guy named Rick's like, whoa, what the fuck, dude? Like, what did I fucking do?
Jesus
Fuck
Christ,
you, Rick.
Kevin.
Fuck you, Rick.
Fuck Kevin.
Yeah, fuck Kevin.
Kyle.
I think that this show is definitely worth watching right away. I think that it is few and far between that Disney really, really, really sticks the landing. And they did it here. There's a couple episodes that I think you probably don't quite hit as heavy as other episodes do, as far as like being beat for beat, like just wonderful. There are a couple things that are a little bit egregious, but they're not bad. They don't halter the episode, let alone the show itself. So yeah, watch it, enjoy it, have a good time with this. You know, like allow yourself to kind of turn off your brain, because this is Marvel being not Marvel in all the best ways. And I think that is something to bring forth to the table. The fucking dude, my brain keeps coming back to the tarot episode, and just like how just incredible that episode was front to back, in terms of just like the camera work and the lighting, and how like the scene cuts and transitions were just layering over each other, and they were having her like lay down and like having the walls peel back behind her, and like a new scene was coming up, like the lighting would shift and change, and like, oh my god,
Crazy.
that fucking episode is honestly, honest to fucking god, probably some of the best camera work and transitionary work that Marvel has ever done. Is in one of the episodes of the show, and that's not to say that they don't continue to do it in the other episodes, because the other episodes also have a plethora of just wonderful work that they've done in the show. Absolutely watch this. There are a few grievances that I had. There were, some things that I felt were a little bit heavy-handed, but it is what it is. I think that Marvel is Marvel, and they're going to do what they're going to do, and there's not really a whole lot we can do about it. But I don't think that it was enough for me to feel negative about this show in any capacity. So with that said, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. For me. So that puts us at a 9.16 on average between us. So we'll just go ahead and drop that down to a 9. There's going to be a 9 out of 10 from good Kraken.
Nice.
To you guys. Ooh, it feels good. It feels good. And you guys at home can feel good too, because this has been 20,000 Films Under the Sea. Your choice for all the nerdy pop media news, reviews, and discussions that you wanted each and every week. If you liked what you heard, you can head on over to our Discord channel, where you can submit questions and topics to the show, get exclusive content, and have early access episodes before they go live on podcasts and video services near you. You can also support us by going to our YouTube channel, hitting subscribe, or by leaving a review on our podcast channel by searching 20,000 Films Under the Sea. We'll be right there waiting for you. We have to go, everybody, but until next time, my friends, down the road, down the witch's road.